We're into part 2 of our topic of our discussion of the 4 prayers that are so helpful to you in being able to recover your divine identity, the awareness of a loving God, and of the assuredness of healing, of mind, of soul, of body, and ultimate destiny of salvation. Part 1 was that we were praying about asking God to let us see ourselves as God sees us. The prayer that we were demonstrating with is, let me see myself as you know me to be. The second part of this now is about other people. Now, why is that important? The simple reason is the way you look upon other people is a reflection of the way you look upon yourself. That if you're disapproving of another person, whatever that person's characteristics are, you have not solved this problem inside yourself, and you would be just as judgmental about this problem as you would about the other person. So it's a measure of your own healing. It's so crucial that way, that what you feel about yourself you're going to project onto other people. And so we need to be able to pray about how to see others in order to further the process of how you see yourself, because sometimes you pick up from the way you relate to others the fact that you have a problem. I know that's so with me, that within groups that I work with, that I watch myself very carefully about what my reaction is with others, as to whether or not my human mind pops in, or I care about how they feel about me, or that if they seem bored or disinterested, what does it mean about me that I have a reaction to that? That self-centeredness that's there. And I can pick it up sometimes through my reaction with other people, where I won't necessarily pick it up within myself until they're a signal. And so it is important. Now, judgmentalism enters into the picture. We are in a world of disapproval of others who we believe are different from ourselves. Another way to put it is we're survival-oriented. And if we experience the other person as a threat to ourselves because of that survival orientation, which we will, the human is very concerned about survival. It is a prime issue. And you bet that we're going to look upon others with suspicion and discomfort from this sole factor in itself. All kinds of things like discrimination and prejudice, they all stem from this suspicion of others, from our own sense of insecurity and our own sense of feeling of threat from other people, but which is coming from our mind. There's another way of putting it. There's never a problem outside yourself. The problem is how you look upon the problem, or how you're going to handle the problem. That's where the problem is. And other people, we need to be able to pray these issues. So, just as my prayer with myself was, Lord, let me only see myself as you know me to be. With others, it would be, Lord, let me see this person as you want me to see them. Why that prayer? Because we are out to discard the human mind and its attitudes in order to be able to pick up the awareness of how God looks upon people, and through that, again, to reinforce how we look upon ourselves. If we do that, we are making a step closer to the understanding or the forgiving mind that is required for us to be able to return to the kingdom of heaven. Because to the extent that we retain that kind of non-understanding or unforgiveness restricts us from our desire to be able to return to heaven, because even heaven at that point looks like a threat to us, that we don't feel free to give ourselves over when we are afraid or fearful of other people. It has to be resolved, or we are delaying ourselves from the return to the kingdom of heaven, and we are also sickening ourselves, because if our mind is in conflict or is stirred up, it is in a state of instability, of tension, of rigidity, and that freezes off the ability to have a healthy being. It can cause in itself sickness of our body, sickness in our mind. The tensions of these kinds of circumstances and kinds of attitudes have its effect. We need to be aware of it. And so, with other people, we need to bring in God's attitude, God's outlook towards them, in order to be able to adopt it as our own. So as I said, my prayer is, Lord, let me see others as you see them. Let me have your outlook with others rather than mine, because I know that I'm a lost being, that my own mind is critical, judgmental, fearful, suspicious, survival-oriented, and it defeats me. It sickens me to have those kinds of attitudes towards other people. And what will I get when I pray this? I get God's attitude. And God's attitude is the right one. A calmness comes over me. I don't feel at that point a reaction of defensiveness. I'm not concerned about my own survival. I now see ourselves as God sees us, which is that we're all God's divine children. And any deviation from that is the indication we're not at peace. We're still thinking from our own mind. Now the second issue is, how often do you pray this? You remember Jesus was asked by somebody, how many times do you forgive somebody? 7 times. And Jesus says, no, 7 times 70, which means always. This is crucial for us to know. This is the understanding, the forgiveness, that everybody is just as lost as we are. That their doing of negative things simply comes about because they don't know who they are as God's beloved divine children, and they don't know who we are as God's divine beloved children. It must be overcome. It is a crucial prayer as part of the 4 prayers that free us up to healing and to the eventual salvation. And remember as well, sometimes the first prayer isn't enough, that we have to pray repeatedly, be it about yourself or about others, that sometimes it takes numerous prayers in order to be able to get enough support to overcome that human mind. It's not that you're failing. Remember, Jesus prayed 3 times in the garden before he was arrested in order to overcome his human mind and his attitudes. Remember that he was out in that desert for 40 days clearing away his human mind, not 40 seconds, 40 days. So you can see we have that issue going for ourselves as well. Repeated prayer is good. It is not an indication of negativity. It is the indication that we are on the right track and that we are giving God the opportunity to proceed with us gently to overcome our attitudes. Well, I hope that's helpful in your looking at other people. It's a good start.